Hi everyone, in this video we will see how we can create bar and pie graphs using Flutter. So let's start. Uh, First of all, open your Android Studio, go to File, New Flutter project here, and then Flutter application and click Next, and just give this any name. Let's give it a name of graphs test, the project name, and click next and then finish. The new project will be created soon, new Flutter project. Okay, we will open this new project in a new window. Okay, the new project is now created. We have an emulator opened here by selecting it from this list. So just run this newly created project first of all by clicking here on our emulator. So our default Flutter application is now running on the emulator. If you click here, it will just increase the number. So we have here our main app, which is called in main function, this my app, and it calls this my homepage class, which is a stateless widget. And this has a button which, you know, kind of increases this number. So let us first of all delete our button. Let's delete this comment as well. Control S. Now you see we have no button. Let us now remove this counter as well because we don't need this. We don't have any counter. We just have this thing in this line, and just remove this line in children charts test in Flutter. And then go to my app and also change the title here to Flutter charts test, and let's call it Flutter charts test homepage. So we will see here Flutter charts test homepage, and charts in Flutter we already see here. Yes, that's it. So now let's go to the lib folder and create a class, Dart class, and call it students bar chart. This will create a Dart file called students bar chart. So this class will contain a model for our student number of students, you know. So call it class students bar chart, and extends stateless widget. That's it. And we can import material dot up here. And then we click here, or we create a widget build method inside this class. And of course now we need our charts library as well. Here for that we need to go to the pubspec YAML file and import here a package called charts underscore Flutter. So let us import the package version 0.9.0 and then Control S, or we click here to get package.get because we'll get this, and then this package will be added to this project, and then we can go to our student bar chart class. And we do here an import of this charts underscore Flutter package, or we have, let's say, charts underscore Flutter, and we can call this class flutter.dart. Yes. And we can write here as charts. That's it. Okay, we are having an error here, so because we are missing a semicolon, and this error should go. Control S. Everything is running fine so far. So now let us create outside this class a model for our student numbers class, number of students. Yeah, let's say we have here inside this class, sorry, this class is outside, Control X, is here, and we have here final string year and final int, which is number, which is a number of students, and there is a constructor of this num students class which takes this dot year and this dot number as the arguments. Then we have a semicolon. So there is an error because we have here num students and above num students, so call this one num students, and now it compiles fine everything again. Now in our student bar chart stateless widget class, we will define a final list, which is you can use charts here because we have this representation charts here for this flutter.dot class, and then dot series. And let's call it students list. Okay, we have an error here because list is with capital L, and that's it. And now we will pass this student list to this student chart constructor whenever we call this class. It's this dot students list, and that's it. And in our widget build method, we will return, of course, this charts dot bar chart. Of course, we have to provide some parameters in there, and we are almost near to show the bar charts. Let us now create a factory constructor of the student bar class, student bar chart class, and call it, let's say, data function, and this will return us a series new student. So inside it there will be a series. We already have the student list, so let's call that this series is actually returned by a function which is called num students data. And now we will create this function, num students data function, which is a static function with the return value of a list chart series of type num students and string, num students class and a string, and then we have this bracket. Okay, we don't need this. Should have a semicolon here. And now let us go in this function num students data. This function has a variable final data which is equal to, which is a list which contains this num students data, num students class, for example, and it has, let's say, an year which is 2010, and the number of students is, let's say, 45. And then we have another num students which is 2011, and number of students is 86. In the same way, you can define here more, not num students data, but num students. You can define more data variables here. Let's copy the rest of the data here. Okay, we can create a new, actually I think new is not so required now, it's an optional parameter. Flutter. So okay, now let's go, and now we return a chart series, not here. This is chart series, and this chart series has type num student and string, num students and string, and that's it. So this function returns that, and inside it we have an ID which is students, comma, we have a color fn, we have a domain, and we have a Meyer. Okay, we have to have a comma at the end. Of course, we will define them, but let me write all the required variables. And at the end, we have data, which is equal to this data above. Yep. So we can define a color like this. Dot, let's say green. Dot shade default. And then we have here num students, comma, not comma, student tends to, let's say, student dot year we have here. So this is what we have, this is our domain and what we are mirroring. Let's copy this again, paste it in the mirror and call it student dot number, and data is this. Actually, we need to have these brackets outside. There may be some typing mistake here. Yeah, so that's it. That's how we will get our chart series data here. Now we can here call this function which will return us this chart series num students data. That's it. So this is how it's gonna work. Now we will simply call this student bar chart in our main.file inside this my homepage class, extend stateless widget. So we come to our main.dart class. We are calling here my homepage function. We are simply going to remove this and we are going to call our student bar chart here. We have right now our application like this, and I will call here student bar chart dot data. Okay, we will see that our class is imported above. And now we remove our home page completely because we are not using it anymore. And we do Control S. And let's see, we see our chart here. Of course, we see the number of students here. Unfortunately, the background is black. That's why you can't see this data here very clearly. But let me change the background and then it will look much better. So we can now how we change this background color. First of all, we can remove this theme data from here. And we add another scaffold widget in here. Let's say Control V. This is, we have added home scaffold here. And of course, we need to close this scaffold and we need to have here another comma. And we have here instead of home, because the home is the scaffold now, and we should have here a body argument. That's it. The color we can also change something like, oops, COLORS colors dot white. So our background will be now white. So we have an app bar which has a title, and then we have a body of the scaffold, and then material app ends here. Let's call it charts with background white. So that's it. Now we should have charts with a background color white. So you see that here we have our data, the number of students 0, 10, 40, 60, 80, 100, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So see here, our charts will be created again. Yeah. So that's how you create bar charts using Flutter. Chart in Flutter for the number of students per year. Let us create a pie chart. We can more or less use the same data. We will have something in the form of a pie or a circle or a donut, whatever. So let's create a new Dart file and name it students underscore pie underscore chart and say OK. Now click here. Let's copy this code and paste it in the students pie chart class, and just change the name of this class to from student bar to student pie. And then we have student pie constructor here, and then we have a factory constructor which is also called student pie. Okay, now here in the num students class, let's define another variable which for the color, so that we have different colors in the pie for different year final, and use this charts dot color. And we name the variable as color in small, and simply add this dot color to this constructor. And yes, so we also need here another variable for the color. If we come here in our num students data and call it charts dot color dot, let's say, black. Similarly, we have here charts dot color dot green. Okay, we need to remove this, and we can have here charts dot color dot red. If we have some red color here, okay, charts, not chart. Charts. So we have a green color. Let's see. No, we don't have a. We can also use the colors as RBG using this charts.color. And let's copy this here, and then we can change the numbers simply. And have a third parameter also here. So let's have only four number of data for these num students, and let's change these colors. Okay, let's make it 216 here, and let's make this color 106, and let's make it 89 as well. And yeah, and now to create our chart, we need to call here in our widget, instead of bar chart, we need to call here pie chart. That's it. And we need to put the series inside it like this. and we need to call the colors here somehow, because we will have different colors for different data. So we can just copy this line and call the color for each of the objects. So let's copy this, Control C, and paste it up here. So this will pick the color from each of these objects, you know, and call this dot color. So now each of these data values will have their own color shown in the pie chart. And now simply call this students.pie chart in our main function, and then dot data, this using this factory constructor. We had here before student bar chart dot data. Now we can simply call it student pie chart dot data. And let's say what's wrong, students pie chart. Yeah, it's right, but we need to have this this thing changed, this import. Just click here, students pie chart, student pie chart. Maybe there is something wrong in the name, students pie chart. Just copy this. Okay, let's name it here students pie chart instead of bar chart. And you see it appears here. Now do a Control S, or just restart, start running your app again, and wait for the pie chart, for the data appear in a pie format here. So the app is restarting, and we should see. So here we see a pie chart, you know, in different colors, because we had 4 objects of data here. One for 2010, and then 2011. This was in black color, and then 2011, 2012, and 2013. Now we can also label this data. We can see which one is for 2010 and 2012 or 2013. Let's see how we can do that using this pie chart. So we can go up there. Here we create the pie chart, and we can say here, for example, behaviors. Oh, sorry. This is our factory for the class. We should create our behaviors here. So behaviors, and here we will write the behaviors, new charts. This is chart title, and then here we have some variables that we can define. For example, we can have the title called, let's say, students by country. Now if we do a Control S, we will see students by country here. We can also define a subtitle, and let's see, we define a subtitle like distribution of students based on year. Sorry. And if we do Control S, we'll have a subtitle, distribution of students based on year. Now we want to have a title over around these colors, like for which year these colors correspond to. So the labels we can define inside this default renderer. I can copy the parameters that we need. So we already have the renderer there. So we just need to define a new charts arc render config, and it will end here. It should have you know, this show label lines false, and we have a label position which is inside. So our year will be shown inside our this pie chart objects, like this you see here.